Let's look into the next type of operators. In this section, we are going to look into assignment operators and logical operators. Now, let's jump into our Jupyter notebook. Getting back to our old Jupyter notebook, not creating a new one, just continuing up with the same operator notebook that we have created in our first lecture. So, in this section, we are going to mark it up with assignment operator. Now, talking about assignment operators, from the name itself, if we break it out, it says assignment operator, assigning something. So assignment operators are used to assign some data to a variable. So from the name, older you have seen that we are doing something like 2 num equals to 2 plus 3, and we were printing out num, right? So num value was 2. So what exactly we were doing was we were using assignment operators. This equal to is an assignment operator. We are assigning some value to a variable. Now what are the other assignment operators? If you could recall in our past lectures, we had something num equal to num plus 1. So if I do this and if I print num, so I'll be getting out 3. So this is assignment operator where I'm assigning num plus 1, that is whatever the num is, just incrementing it to 1 and assigning back to num. The same thing can be written it something like this, num plus equal to 1. Okay. If I check num now, num has been successfully incremented to 1. Now if this one is this one is similar to num equal to num plus 1. So both plays the same role. It depends upon you which you want to use. So in the rest of the lectures, probably we are going to use this one more and more. Okay, let me create out some new cells. So let's print out num again. Print num is initially 4. Okay, now let's do different assignment operators. So I have something same thing like this, num minus equal to 1. So it will do the same thing as num equal to num minus 1. Okay, so if I print out num now, it will be 3. Now let's take one more example. So same thing for multiplication, multiply equal to, let's multiply 3 by 2. Now if I print out num, it will be 6. Let's divide num divided by 3. So probably we will be getting 2. Okay. So same thing for num. Let's assign num to a new variable. Let's multiply first num to 3. Okay, we are having 6. Okay. Okay. So now let's do float division 2. And if I check num, it will be 1.0. Okay. You can check out the remainder of it. So let's assign num to 45. Check out num, a typo. Let's delete this cell, num equals to 45. And if I want to again subtract it out, it's quite similar, or let's say modulus of it. So 45 by 5, and if I check num, it will be 0, because 45 divided by 5, the remainder is 0. So num is assigned back to 0. These are all the assignment operators that we are having in Python. If you look into the notes section, we have all of these notes. Now in the assignment operators, we have some more examples for you guys to play around with. We have this, just get to do it and play around with all of these. Okay, in our next, we are going to look into logical operators. We are having logical operators. Now, what are logical operators? We have 3 things over here, that is and, or not. If you have learned gates, or gates, and gates, these are the same thing. If we have 2 true values, then that will be true. If in and gate, if we have at least 1 true value, then there will be the output will be 1, and for not, true changes to false, false changes to true. So these are quite similar to logical gates, but for people who haven't learned logical gates yet, so let's look into all of these. What happens in what happens in AND is, if we have two values, that is two true values, then only the output will be true. What I meant by this is true and true. This will return me true. If one of the values is false, a capital F, if one of the values is false, it will return me false. Okay. So if both the values is false, then also it will return me false. So if and only if both the values are true, so if and only if both the values are true, then only it will return me a true value. Let's say 3 is greater than 5 and 3 is, or let's say 2 is less than 5. So right now 2 is less than 5, that is a true value, but 3 is less than 5 is a false value. So we are getting false. If we change it to 1, so it will return back to true. Now let's look into OR. In OR, if at least one of the values are true, then the output will be true. So T or T, so T over here means true, true or true is equal to true. T or F equals to T, and again F or T equal to T, F or F equal to F. Okay, what I meant by this is, if one of the values or both the values are true, then it will return me back true, else it will return me back, or it will print out the output or show the output as false. Okay, in OR, the something different happened. So in OR, in, let's say for AND, let's change it for AND. Okay, now for AND, what happens, what if both are true, then only it will return back true, else it will return false. And this one is for OR. So let's look into one more example. If we copy out this one, if I copy out this part, okay, paste it out, and let's change it back. 3 is less than 1. So both the conditions are let me turn it to OR. Yeah. So one of the condition is true, 2 is less than 5 and 3 is less than 1. So it is returning me true. If both are false, let's change it to this. It will return me false. So that is for and that is for OR. What happens in NOT is, it will change out or reverse out the value you put into it. So if I pass false, it will return me true, and if I pass out true, it will return me back false. So let's look into example. NOT 3 is less than 5, so it is a true factor, so we are getting false. Same thing, if I change it for this, this returns me true. So these are assignment operators and logical operators. In our next session, we are going to look into the leftover 3 operators in Python, and then we are going to move into our next section of Python statements.